gentlemen, please put your hands together for Dr. Mildred Matlock.
Three things about Ralph, my late father, made me impatient and drove me nuts. He was disapproving, he got old, and he was cheap. Calling him cheap wasn't like speaking ill of the dead. He was notoriously cheap and proud of it. How cheap was he? He was so cheap that 3 people talked about it at his funeral. I'm a impatient 13-year-old when I have my first clash with penny-pinching Ralph. Teacher tells Daddy Mildred needs glasses. She can't see the blackboard. His first response was, "Glasses? Can't you just move her closer to the blackboard?" My response was, "Oh no, not glasses. I've got zits. I'm as flat as a popsicle stick. And now they're gonna call me Four Eyes." Now, in order to spend as little money as possible, Daddy decided to invade Mama's turf and take me shopping himself for the glasses. Daddy made shopping simple. He bought the cheapest pair. They were colorless, extremely pointed cat-eye glasses that would have made Marilyn Monroe look as old as dirt. I hated those glasses. I only wore them when my grade was on the line or when I made a terrible mistake, like I did when I took my junior high graduation picture. One day, a visitor came into our house, saw that ugly picture in our living room. She looked at me and said, "Is that your grandmother?" Oh, God, give me patience, because if you give me strength, you're going to have to give me the bail money to go with it. I had a lot more clashes with disapproving Ralph. Now, is there anyone else in here whose father dedicated his life to chasing away every man who ever came to visit? I'm 15, the first time a boy from school rides his rickety bike cross town to visit me, the four-eyed popsicle stick. We're sitting on the porch, giggling, 2 steps between us, when boom, Daddy bursts through the front door like a dark brown hurricane. He's all up in Bike Boy's face. "Who the hell are you? And what are you doing here? Who told you it was okay to come?" Before Bike Boy can take a breath, Daddy tells him, "Get out of here." Bike Boy pedals away like he's being chased by the devil. Oh no, I think, I'm not gonna have a boyfriend before I'm 50. Thank goodness it happened sooner than that. At 21, I marry a man who Daddy can tolerate, barely. At 24, I call Daddy sobbing. "Daddy, husband wants a divorce." I'm hoping Daddy will say, "That's okay, baby, don't cry." Instead, he chuckles. "Aw, girl, I thought you were calling with some bad news." God, give me patience. Now, 20 years after the divorce, I met Thin Man, a decent guy who also was tall and dark and good looking. I was a career woman in my mid-40s, on my own, living the good life. But Daddy was still on guard. Daddy had his old school, he ain't good enough radar ready. And it went berserk when he saw Thin Man driving my car to meet my parents for dinner. Daddy couldn't wait to interrogate me. "Look here, what man drives a woman's car to a date? Ain't he got no car? Dump him. All he wants is your money." Now, I'm not worried about Thin Man's financial situation, but Daddy is obsessed by it. So the confrontation is inevitable. One day the phone rings and the rant begins without hello. "Look here, I'm sick of seeing you with that broke man. You're wasting your time with him." Well, Daddy's fury shocked me. "Daddy, Thin Man's a decent, loving, God-fearing man. What else matters?" Daddy erupts into a string of profanities and insults, ending with this bottom line: "Don't bring that into my house again." "Okay," I said, "I won't. But I'm not coming back either." Forget patience. Give me the bail money. This was a bloody war. The problem is that my declaration, my mother lived in the house with Daddy. And so my mother becomes the main casualty of our stupid battle. Now, Thin Man understands. "Mildred," he says, "your father thinks I'm not good enough for you. I get it. I have 2 daughters. And I would do anything to keep someone away from them who I didn't think was right for them. So be patient with him." That will never happen. For over a year, Daddy and I only speak when Mama doesn't answer the phone. But I'm wounded when he's a no-show for my 50th birthday party. Years go by, and the war evolves into a tense coexistence. But I think our relationship has been irreparably harmed because neither one of us is willing to yield. I am devastated when the unthinkable happens and Thin Man suddenly dies. I'm even more crushed when Daddy refuses to acknowledge it. Casual acquaintances reach out to me to console me, but the one man I wanted most to comfort me abandoned me in my grief. I'm horrified to think that when Mama tells him about Thin Man's death, that he might say, I thought you had some bad news. Mama warns him, you better be nice to your daughter. Who do you think's gonna take care of you when you get old? Ooh, I can't wait. He better not be counting on me. Of course, aging Ralph expected to be old and healthy for years because his grandmother lived to be 107 or 8. But it's not as easy as he thought. In his 80s, he had his first of countless seizures. It was a benign brain tumor. Of course, he refused to take the medicine. He refused to stop driving. He refused to follow doctor's orders. So I was indifferent to his situation. But then I saw him in a hospital, and the sight scared me. There was my once strong, healthy father straining against arm and leg restraints. The seizures had disoriented him, and he was screaming, "Help, they've got me in jail. Don't leave me here." Well, I raced from his room, sobbing into the arms of a nurse. But my cold heart didn't melt. I become a reluctant and impatient witness to aging Ralph's decline. Arthritis is followed by prostate cancer, loss of vision in one eye, and a pacemaker implant. His heart's beating like a drum, but the seizures make his mind short-circuit. He becomes more confused, and I become more impatient. One day, I'm stunned when I go to my parents' house and Daddy is sprawled next to the dining room table on his back, but he's alert. Mama says that he just had another seizure. Now, he has withered away to 110 pounds of sagging skin and bones. Together, we can't get him to his feet. I'm complaining, accusing him. "Daddy, you're not even trying to get up." Mama tells me to call the police. The police? They're not coming. Nobody's dead. Mama assures me, this happens every couple of months. I didn't tell you about it because I didn't want to worry you. But when I can't get him up, I call the police. They always come. I'm skeptical, but I call 911. And in fairly short order, 2 uniformed officers arrive, big, tall, and patient. Seeing my father once again, helpless, needing to be rescued, changes everything that day for me. I realize I've been holding on to my impatience, just like he's been holding on to his disapproval. It's time for me to let it go. In the summer of 2011, Daddy and I are sitting in the living room, sweating, and he suddenly starts to talk to me about things I've never heard before. He confesses his regrets. "Your mother always wanted to have more children, but I didn't. Were Brother and I too much for you?" "No," he said, "I didn't think we could afford more children. I wanted to be sure to send you to college." Oh, so that's why he was so cheap. And that's why I don't have any student loans. He confessed, "I really hoped you would remarry. Your mother and I wanted to have grandchildren." I couldn't help but tease him. "Well, Daddy, you chased away every man until I was menopausal." He chuckled at that. I guess I did. But I wanted you to marry the right man. Tears come to my eyes when he surprises me and says, I love you. I love you too, Daddy. Then it's time for me to tell him something he hasn't heard. Mama can't handle you in this house by herself. We may have to take you to a nursing home. He's pleading with me. Please don't do that. They're not nice to you. I promise I'll do more to take care of myself. But a couple of days later, he has a series of brutal seizures, and he ends up back in the hospital where I'm the chief operating officer. The chief of the ER service says to me, your mother can't handle him at home. When we put him in the nursing home, I tell him that he's being transferred to a rehabilitation hospital. He accepts the lie, but not for long. On the 5th day, he has a massive stroke, and he comes back to our hospital for the final time. Now, in my position, I had unlimited access to him and to the caregivers, and I used it because I hovered over him like a patient parent. I tried feeding him, but he couldn't swallow. I communicated by looking deep into his eyes because he couldn't speak. I held his left hand because his right side was completely paralyzed. I prayed that I was making the right decisions about keeping him alive in his useless body. My daddy was dying, and it was breaking my heart. But I was present, patient, and generous with my love when it counted the most. And in the end, isn't that what matters the most? A recent survey of retirees indicated that they thought one of their greatest regrets in life was that they hadn't had enough patience. I'm a recent retiree, and I suspect I'm congenitally impatient. But thank God for giving me patience when it counted. Thank you.
Dr. Mildred Matlock.